and welcome back to a new video and another day of Bookmas. Today we're going through my 2025 anticipated reads, which includes books that are currently on my physical TBR, so whether they're a series or just an individual book. Priority authors for next year, so authors that I kind of want to make my way through their books that they've currently got out, or again any new releases or stuff like that. Books that are already released that I may not have but I do want to read next year, and then we also have new releases that are coming out next year. So a couple of different categories that we're going to run through to go through literally all the books that are kind of on my radar for next year. I mean, this is not going to be all of them. My mood changes all the time. I'm a massive mood reader, but right now this is kind of what I have on my radar for next year. Like I say, including books that are on my physical TBR and books I don't have or are coming out next year as well. There are so many new releases next year, so yeah. I'm going to try and use my Kindle more next year. I've really got like into Kindle reading at the end of this year, so we're going to try not to buy like too many books, just mainly ones that I'm really excited for. So like Fearless by Lauren Roberts, for example, I would buy that book, but maybe other ones that I'm not sure whether I'm going to like, or maybe it's by an author that I haven't really tried yet. I'm probably going to Kindle read that, so we're going to try and be more conscious because we're running out of book space. So let's just dive straight into today's video, and you guys can let me know whether you've got any of these on your radar too. But our first category that we're going to go through is books/series that are on my physical TBR. Starting off strong, I want to finish off the Boys of Tomlin series. So I actually have Saving 6, Redeeming 6 and Taming 7 left to read. So I've read Shannon and Johnny's books. I haven't read Joey and Aoife's or Claire and Gibbs's books yet, so I know that obviously a lot more books are coming out in this series, but I kind of want to get up to date on that series before it becomes a like 20 book series that I'm never going to catch up on. So I really want to prioritise reading these books next year. Really enjoyed the first two, so yeah, I really want to carry on with the series. I just feel like I'm running out of time towards the end of this year to read like 3 huge books. So these are going on to next year's TBR. Then we have the Gold Rush Ranch series by Elsie Silver. So this year I kind of prioritised reading the Chestnut Spring series. I still do have one book left, but I have made my way through the series this year. So I kind of wanted to read some of Elsie Silver's backlog. Obviously this was her first series that was published, and then covers and stuff are now being republished. So I really want to get to this series next year and kind of just read the whole series, and then I can also read, is it her Rose Hill series, the one that she's currently releasing now? I can then read that as well, but this one is my priority for next year. I've got 2 of the books already, and I'm probably going to pick up the other 2 at some point next year, maybe when I've read these first though, rather than just storing all of the series on my shelf. Then a big series that I'm committing to next year is the Throne of Glass series. So I do actually want to read Assassin's Blade first, but I don't have that one just yet. So I literally have Throne of Glass and is it Crown of Midnight? The second one anyway. But I do want to read Assassin's Blade first because a lot of people have said they've started the series and wish they'd have read that one first. I do want to read the whole of the Throne of Glass series. Now I don't have all of it on my physical TBR like I said, but after I've read each book I'm going to reward myself by going to get the next one from the shop. I know that I'm going to enjoy this series because I loved ACOTAR and I just really liked Sarah J Maas's world building and that sort of thing, and her fantasies are just so easy to read, like compared to other fantasies. Like some fantasies literally sound like gibberish to me. Like I tried to read Six of Crows, I'm going to go back to it, but it literally sounded like gibberish and I was like, I cannot comprehend this book. So, but whereas I don't have that with Sarah J Maas, so I know I'm going to love the series, but I'm going to treat myself by going to the bookstore when I'm ready to get the next one. So I know it's a big series to commit to, that's why I wanted to kind of have a fresh start the whole of next year. I committed to reading the ACOTAR series this year, so I've still got one more to go, but obviously we still have the month of December to read that, so I wanted to kind of have a fresh start next year to read this whole series. I'm going to try and maybe read like 1 book a month or something, depending on whether I just want to binge it all, but I probably will read 1 book a month. Then the last kind of series that I have on my physical TBR is the Caraval and Once Upon a Broken Heart series. So I've started Caraval, I've read the first one, then want to commit to like reading the rest of the series throughout next year, and also the Once Upon a Broken Heart series as well because I've heard really good things. Kind of like these are classed as one really because obviously they interlink with each other, so they're both a priority for me. And I do want to read the Caraval series first because a lot of people said you have a better reading experience that way, so, and I have read Caraval and I loved it, so I am going to read the rest of that series and then go into the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. But again, running out of time this year, so I'm thinking next year that's going to be my priority in terms of fantasy series. Obviously as well as Throne of Glass. The next category we have is priority authors. So these are authors that I've either read one book of and I really want to read the rest of like their backlog and stuff, or I've heard good things about them. The first author is Abby Jimenez. So I've read Yours Truly by her and don't actually think I've read anything else, so I kind of want to read the backlog of her books that she's got out, because I know she's got some more coming out next year. So she's a kind of priority author, but I think I'm saving her for more like spring summertime. Then the next priority author is Frederick Backman. So I read Beartown earlier this year and absolutely loved it, so I want to continue the rest of that series, kind of finish that off. But there's some other books by him that I also want to read as well. So we've got Anxious People and A Man Called Ove, so I want to read both of those next year and just kind of again read like his backlog of books too. Then we have Ellen Hildebrand. So I have one book by her and that is 28 Summers, but I kind of want to find out what is the best reading order rather than just like going into one of the books. I kind of want to work out what the best reading order is, because I know that there's a lot of characters that interlink between each of the stories. They're not necessarily a series, but they do interlink. So I kind of want to have a bit of a Google, have a bit of a search to look at what's the best order and then go into that before reading 28 Summers, in case that's just like you should have read that further down the line. So I do want to read some more of her books, but well, I haven't read any of her books, so I want to read some of her books next year, but I want to work out the best order to do that in. And the last author that I'm kind of prioritising next year is Sally Rooney. So I loved Normal People and I now have Intermezzo, which is just up there on my shelf. So I want to read that and Conversations with Friends, because I've just been in the mood for more like literary fiction reading and I really like the way she writes, so I want to get to some more of her books. Not necessarily read all the ones she's got out, but just read some more of them. Then there are some books / series that are on my radar that I actually don't own currently. First one is When the Moon Hatched, which is a fantasy book and I've heard good things. I heard it's quite confusing but still very, very good, so that's one that I really want to get to at some point next year. I've obviously got a lot of physical TBR to get through first, but we'll see at some point. Then we have Ghosted, which is one of Bestie Sarah's favourite books ever, and I really think that I'm going to enjoy it, to be honest, just by the way she's described it and this kind of story it is. So it's very intriguing to me, so I've got that on my list that I really want to read. Again, I don't own this book, but it's kind of on my radar. Then we have Welcome to Fae Cafe, which just sounds adorable. I want to read immediately. It just sounds, I don't know, I just love it. It sounds like such a cozy read, so I really want to get to that one. We also have Graveyard Shift, which I think is a new one that's recently come out, so I want to get to that one at some point. I think it's quite short. I don't know too much about what it's about, but it just intrigued me when I saw the cover and stuff, so I want to get to that one. Then we have the Shatter Me series, which is such a big series to commit to, especially if I'm wanting to read Throne of Glass next year. So we'll see whether I actually get to Shatter Me series or maybe just a couple of the books. They are shorter and I wasn't sure whether I was going to read it, but a lot of people I've seen posting about it and I'm kind of feeling a bit left out on booktok, so yeah, I think I might get to it at some point. And the last one is the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. So I have heard mixed reviews on this, to be honest. I've been looking for the first book for ages, cannot find it in the bookstore anywhere. They always have like ones in the middle of the series, so that's really irritating. I want to get the first one obviously first and read that. I don't want to pick up other ones if I haven't read the first one and see if I like it or not. I don't think I'm going to probably read the whole series next year, but I at least want to read like maybe the first couple or something just to see whether I like it or not. Then our last and biggest category is new releases for next year. So we have so many on my radar and so many just sound so good. I've kind of put it in month order of like when they're being released, but please don't quote me on these dates. These are just what I've found online, so whether they're correct or not, I do not know. The first one we have is Love Arranged by Lauren Asher, which is the third book in the Lakefront Billionaires series. It says it's been released on January 1st. Whether it is or not, I don't know, because we still haven't had a book cover. So I don't know if that's just like a default release date for now, but it's coming out at some point next year. I don't know what it's about, but I just know that I really enjoyed the first book in the series and I have picked up the second book. I haven't read it yet. I feel like the time has passed. I need like some sun to read it. And we have The Crash by Frida McFadden, which again is apparently releasing on January 1st, but I don't know. But we have got a cover for this one, so it could be. It could be being released then, I don't know. So this is a classic Frida McFadden thriller and we follow our main character Tegan, who is pregnant and she basically is running away from her life. So she gets in the car and then she gets stuck in a blizzard and then a couple offers her some shelter to wait out the storm, and then she kind of realises that she's in danger. So it sounds really interesting. I'm just hooked on any Frida McFadden thriller. Like, I'll read them every time. We have Beg, Borrow or Steal by Sarah Adam, which was released on January 7th. Again, please don't quote me on these dates. So it's the third book in the When in Rome series. So we have When in Rome and Practice Makes Perfect. So I don't actually know like the storyline, but I know that our story follows Emily, who's a romance writer, and then Jack, who becomes her colleague and neighbour. So I'm going to assume that there's some sort of tension or something there, maybe a workplace romance. I do not know. I just loved the When in Rome series, so I'm sure I'm going to love this one. Then we have The Baby Dragon Cafe, which is releasing on January 16th. I literally have no idea what this book is about, but the fact that it is baby dragons and a cafe, does that not sound cozy? I think that sounds so cozy, so I just want to read it. I literally know nothing about it, but I just want to read it. Then into the February releases, so we have Deep End by Ellie Hazelwood, which again, I know nothing about, but I will read any Ellie Hazelwood book, so I think it's a spicy one again. A bit like Not in Love, but I'm not sure, so I'm just here for the vibes, to be honest. Then we have Skyve and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver, which is the third one in the interconnected standalone series of Butcher and Blackbird. I don't know whether that series has like a name or anything, but yeah, it's the third one in the series. This one is following Fionn, which is I think the younger brother out of all of them. I could be wrong on that actually, because Rowan might be the youngest brother, but I'm not sure. But he is the brother to both of the other male main characters in the series, so each book follows a different brother in a sibling group, and then it also follows Rose, who we have seen throughout the other two stories as well. I am really enjoying the series, so I can't wait for the third installment. I don't really know where they're going with this one, to be honest. Fionn is a doctor, I believe, and I think Rose is from the circus, so that's such an interesting combination, but we'll see where we go. I just trust in Bryn Weaver. She just has craziness and turns it into a romance. Then we have The Charlie Method by Al Kennedy, which is the third book in the Campus Diary series. I think that's what it's called. Follows on from The Graham Effect and The Dixon Rule. I think it was The Dixon Rule. Then we're into March and we have the next release in the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. So I just trust in Queen Elsie. I believe this whole series is like single dad trope throughout, I think. And this one is A Marriage of Convenience and an enemies to lovers situation. So I don't really like Marriage of Convenience that much, but to be honest, Elsie Silver writes any trope just so well, so I think it's probably going to be great, to be honest. Then we have While We Were Young by K.A. Walther, who is the author of The Summer of Broken Rules. This is meant to be releasing on the 4th of March. It's a YA romance inspired by Ferris Bueller's Day Off, if you've watched that film. So with their graduation coming up, a group of friends decide to take a day off school, and they kind of, I think it's like a little bit of an adventure story, but they're all kind of like keeping secrets about their lives and their romantic lives and all that sort of thing. So I think it just kind of plays out as like essentially Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and then some secrets and stuff come out. So it sounds really interesting. I really enjoy her style of writing, so I think I'm probably going to enjoy this one. And sometimes you just need a bit of a YA palette cleanser. Then we are into April, and April this year was literally crazy for book releases, and April next year is going to be crazy for book releases apparently. What is with April and book releases? But first of all, we have Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which this is my most anticipated read, I think. Maybe on par with Emily Henry's, but for next year. I cannot wait for the third installment in this series. I am literally so excited. So basically it's the third book in the Paola series, and we're once again following Kai and Payden, and that's all I know. And that's all I need to know, because I don't want to know anything else. Just want to go blind, don't want any spoilers. The way we left that last book, crazy. So I'm hoping it's going to just pick straight up from there, and we'll carry on, and there better be a happy ending is all I'm saying. Then we have Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, which again I know nothing about, but I trust in Abby Jimenez, and I read Yours Truly and I loved that one. I haven't read any of her other books, but so many people rave about her, so I trust. Then we have Enchantra, is that how you say it? By Kaylee Smith, which is the second one to Phantasma, which I read recently and loved. So I'm very excited to be in Genevieve's point of view, kind of uncover some of the family secrets and stuff. So you learn a little bit that the family's got some secrets going on throughout Phantasma, and the next one is kind of like Genevieve going to search out those secrets and that sort of thing. Very intrigued. I do feel like a lot of things are going to come up, so yeah, super intrigued, and I'm hoping she kind of has her own romance because she deserves it. Then we have Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage, which is the 4th book in the Rebel Ranch series. This one follows Camille and Dusty, who have appeared in the other books in the series, so we kind of get a bit of an insight into them within this 2nd book. I think it's kind of like a first love trope, so they had something that happened in the past and they're kind of drawn back to each other. I don't really know too much about it, but that kind of became uncovered within was it Swift and Saddled, the 2nd one? So I'm intrigued to see where their story's going and uncover like what happened in the past, because I haven't read the 3rd book in the series, so I don't know if more insight is given into that. Then we have another book which is so highly anticipated for me, and that is Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. So it's her new release for next year. It's about 2 writers who are competing for the chance to write a story. It is about an heiress. I don't know how you say that word. She is telling the story of her life, I believe, so she's got like a couple of plot twists throughout her life and stuff, and they're kind of competing to be able to write this story and publish it. And then we have Rewind It Back, which is the 5th book in the Windy City series, so I am planning to read the others and get caught up on it, to be honest. I've only read the 1st one and I really didn't like it, but a lot of people don't like that one, but then have read the other ones and have really enjoyed those, so I'm going to push on through. Then we are into the May releases, and we have One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, which is Charlie's story. So if you've read Every Summer After, there is 2 brothers in that, Sam and Charlie. This one is about Charlie, which I'm so excited for, and it's been highly anticipated since I read Every Summer After, which I think I might need to do a reread of next year. And then the rest of the books I literally have like no description on. So we have It's a Love Story by Anna Van Monaghan. I've read Summer Romance this year and loved that one. I also read Nora Goes Off Script, which wasn't my favourite one, but I really did enjoy Summer Romance, so I'm still going to give this one a read. And in June we have My Friends, which is by Frederick Backman. I don't know anything about this book, but I've really enjoyed his writing style, so I just really want to get to it, and like I said, he's a priority author for me next year. Then Ashley Poston, or Poston, however you say it, is releasing another book next year, and it's called Sounds Like Love. So I really enjoy her stories. I love that she always has like magical realism in them, so I'm really excited to get to this one. Again, don't know anything about it, but I've enjoyed like all of her books anyways. And then we have one final book release, which is in September, and that is Accomplice to the Villain, which is the 3rd one in the Apprentice to the Villain or Assistant to the Villain series. I don't know what that series is called. I haven't read those books, but I've heard good things, and I've got the 1st one in the series, so I'm going to read it at some point. Considering that's been released in September, I've got enough months to read both of them before that book comes out, so very excited to get to that one. Those are all the books that I want to read next year in terms of like that are currently on my radar. I have so many more that I want to get to. Let me know whether you're going to read any of them or what books you have on your 2025 radar. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in another video super soon. Bye.